I think everybody in this country has probably been impacted, as somebody's been impacted by a rare disease, and in healthcare, they've either impacted by something that they did not had access to, or if they did, the difficulty of affording the healthcare in this country. It's really tough. I built a hospital company, and your just heart goes out to people how expensive things have also gotten on top of the regulatory hurdles you go through. So, my first employee in my hospital company actually had and passed away with ALS, and it's a devastating disease. So your heart goes out to anybody that has it. One thing I did as governor of Florida is when I was governor, we got all the money. We dramatically increased our research dollars on cancer, and we got all of our cancer centers and everybody who's doing research in the state. They got money. They had to share all their data, which to accelerate it, and that seemed to have some impact. We put a lot of money into NIH. In the 2000s, we I think doubled the budget of the NIH, but clearly cures haven't come out. So I think we have to just do what all of you are saying, rethink what we're doing to see if there's something better we can do. And I'm glad you're here, because this is how we get things done, by getting, by people telling their stories. And so, because if your story, you can come up with how you can try to solve it. So, Dr. Botner, what can Congress do to expedite the delays that you're seeing?
Thank you, Senator. Firstly, I want to just acknowledge that Florida is the epicenter of PWS care in the world. The University of Florida has a physician by the name of Jennifer Miller, who sees the largest population of PWS patients in the country. To answer your question, it's probably true that the FDA already has the authority needed to provide regulatory flexibility in the circumstances that we're talking about. Unfortunately, there is no consistent application of that flexibility. So I don't know what tool it takes, but I think to mandate the consideration of regulatory flexibility in all rare disease applications is valuable. I think to work with experts to define for a given disease setting what that flexibility should look like is important. And then to come up with an enforcement mechanism to ensure that it's happening is important. So I'm not sure what tool it takes, but I think conceptually that's how I would go about it.
Yeah. Well, in May of this year, I joined with 24 of my colleagues in both the Senate and the House asking for change at the FDA. We requested a task force be developed to include leaders from all divisions, offices, and centers which process rare disease therapy applications, to fully examine areas of policy and procedural inconsistency and shortcoming to see what we could do better. We also asked that the task force provide Congress recommendations. The FDA disagreed with our request to form a task force. They said they're going to share relevant reports. But I think a lot of times up here, people do have the authority to do the right things. It's just the way the process is set up, and then there's no accountability that it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. So, the more specific you guys are to any of us, the greater chance we're able to get something done. So, do any of you know what type of patient experience the FDA collects in its clinical trials, and how's the FDA use that? Does anybody have any ideas?
I think patient experiences can be collected in a variety of ways. One of the newer mechanisms which the FDA has been using is a patient-focused drug development meeting, where the FDA attends and listens to the patient populations about the unmet needs, et cetera. During trials, in trials like ours, we collect patient information based on questionnaires, looking at symptoms and signs that are relevant. So the agency definitely has a lot of that evidence in their hands. Real-world evidence is something that they've been discussing, but it's been part of very small number of applications for approval, and it's certainly not been the primary way any drug has been approved so far. Dr. Lynch, if you have something to add.
So just to add on to that, importantly, of course, it's not FDA that is gathering the evidence, right? It's companies that are responsible for conducting the research. But through the patient-focused drug development program at FDA, they've put out several guidance documents to promote systematic methodologies in gathering patient experience data to inform the development of clinical trials, to make sure that they are asking the questions that are important to patients, and systematically gathering information so that it can inform regulatory decisions. And FDA also has made great strides in incorporating patient perspectives, for example, having patient representatives on advisory committees.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Scott.